Welcome back guys to my YouTube channel. Today this is my train of thought. This is just YouTube music train sounds. Okay. Because today the date is the 13th of January 2026. The time is now 6:08 p.m. You are watching OB Nexus YouTube channel. I'm still here, and now. This video, one second, am I looking at the right? Yes, this track has been recorded on speech notes.com, /dictate. OB Nexus continue, session continuity. Uh, uh, you know, so this video we won't be proving the what holds, but we're given a brief overview of what's up. We're given a very brief overview of what's to come. Because this is Nsigii protocol. Basically, it seems to sound like Nsigii. The Nsigii protocol, but Nsigii because it has some meaning which I forgot, but it's one of the persona of essay when I made it. So, Nsigii is an Asian Igbo language. But that's where the foundation of, because Nsigii influenced Nsigii, which is a human rights protocol for safety critical. So I'm going to give you talk on it, but I will not implement the proof. I'll implement the latter. The speak this video to about 5-part series, 5-part videos for this series. But I'll speak on the protocol now. Nsigii is a language that was native to Igbo. Was native before the Nigerian. It was pre-colonial language. We are the Igbos. We have the symbol before Igbo, because Igbo is diluted. It's not colonial. It's more of easy to grasp, but it is insipidity. In a nutshell, it is what it is. Igbo is Niger Congo, so it is non-colonial. It's a language that's been well integrated into societies because it works on concept. It works on what I call verb noun conceptualization. Insipidity is not Nsigii. Nsigii is the Nsigii protocol. N for November, S for Sarah, I for India, G for Golf, I for India, I for India. This is Nsigii. Nsigii is a human rights protocol again. It is a trident model. It's a trident model to mitigate connectionism. But it is a trident model. Go on my notes here. I should be looking at my notes too, but don't be looking down. So, yeah, I'll take a step over. So, Nsigii is a human rights protocol. Nsigii African agency has a task list which computer codes on how to do. But Nsigii is a priority. This is just a pointer problem. The pointer problem is the problem in computer science are formulated of what is being run via threading and concurrency. It is what holds in memory what they share or share. Example: breathing and living. Breathing doesn't mean just breathing air. Breathing is not optional. And if a point of breathing misses, that means someone is at risk of dying, and it's not living. And if it's not living, that means they are hardly breathing. So, breathing air can put us into breathing air and talking, a paced breath, paced breathing, like I am doing right now. It's meant to ensure fluidity and flow in the system. This is the pointer. So the pointers of breathing and living must hold in all contexts. If the task involves breathing and living, but if the task involves work, the pointer may drift. But it's not allowed to force the person to work, because working without breathing and living It's part of fatigue and confusion, fragmented mind. So Nsigii is it has the it's not a work pointer, it's not a work broker. It's just it's a human rights broker. So it's only breathing and living. But the point is that when the share across work are there, so they can ensure that it remains under breathing and living. It holds a demographic state and holds a negative space for working. Because working becomes easier when there's space and time. One can all breathe and one can all live. So, as a policy now, Nsigii is a human rights broker under living and breathing constitution, coherent. As I am speaking now, well, so I'm not going to rush this video. I will take my time to do it because I have all the time currently here in my hand, by the way. Well, I don't have a property. So, how does Nsigii, why Nsigii? Breathing and living, breathing and living life is what we all do, and we don't need to ask permission to do it. We don't need permission, we don't need consent, and we don't need consensus to do it. We are all allowed to breathe air free of charge, and this just not fragment the mind. And this one is sticking matters. It stops the pressure that is the mind race of neurodivergent mind, such as my own, when we are under pressure to do the most basic things that we normally do and still make mistakes. Nsigii resolves all of that. Example, humorous OS, Nuclear OS, M for Mike, N for Mike, U for umbrella, K for kilo, O for Oscar, dash, O for Oscar, sorry, is operating system that helps humans. These people can download this operating system, Nuclear OS, and it's a here and now protocol and a command and control protocol. It is written in blood, sweat, and tears, which are the pointers. The pointers must hold over arbitrary rules because the pointer problem is very important to do via semantic drift or lexical drift because each stage of the parser can drift to some extent, and this is what the protocol is meant to do when dialoging large binary over an insecure protocol such as HTTP or HTTPS, depending on how you feel how you feel the correlation should be. Uh, um, uh, but the Blue Shell is a download. Blue Shell, the polygon booting system, is what Nsigii uses as a chemical state over a Wi-Fi system. Here and now, power, life, and balance, calm and neutral. Yes. How does this work? How is the here? No, so, how does the action of here and now reflect in CBD protocol? How does this work? Here and now, Eze or King has a pointer to his data, his phenomenology data, his phenomenology data he shares with Obi. And Obi can create and destroy. Eze can create and destroy, and Uche can create and destroy. Uche, U for umbrella, C for Charlie, H for hamburger, E for echo, means knowledge. In Igbo, Eze means king or leader in Igbo, and Obi means heart or soul in Igbo. These two are what I call those who are actors of the protocol and communication by design. They are speaking on this protocol, but they hold a state of life, work, and breath. Life, breath, and work. Where work, life, and breath is the worst order that they can all be in. The pointer problem shows Eze, the king and leader, addresses his problem in his domain via command and control and holds a tomographic consistency. Eze, being king and leader, like everyone else, can hand a parity to the system. For example, Eze, Uche has a problem. Eze and Uche turns his 1, 0, 1 to 0. He's 0. What is going on?
Thankfully, it doesn't sound like this.
No.
Instead, our sales sounded.
So, sorry, let's say Uche has a problem. Uche knows a lot, but Uche studies problem. So Eze was open motor first, and Uche is open sensors. So Eze can't sense the information safely, so it gives it Eze. Uche can't sense information and gives it Eze. Eze is a motor first. Eze likes to do things. So open motor compliance for motor neuron. So what Asia has is double the space for model and half the time. And vice versa, the time to the space. This time, the space to time, refers to the amount of allocated space in memory via token kind and token value in Rift. We have three triplets: token type, the type of the value, token coin, that is valid whether as. So token value type is a token type. The type of a token being evaluated by the Rift philosophy. Rift is a token, but they share a token value and a token the shared token value and a token type, token value, and a token data. These data is philosophy to determine whether something is something or something can act on something as an entity. And that's what the framework of NC comes in. How this works is gives us this. For example, which it gives has three packets of data that can be in a mesomeric state or color state of red, green, and blue. As it has a red, green, and blue color code number. For them to agree on the message packet, they share a trident packet. Because the trident packet dictates how the message was sent. The trident packet is a coil. It works like this. So, given the tomographic state of red, green, blue, uh, uh, red, green, blue, they share a dimension of that problem, and that dimension is the color concentration between red and blue. Red, the two reds, light red to dark red, based on hue, saturation, and lightness. Now, the hue of the red is the color coding they all share when they mix their both reds. The saturation is another color code when they mix the both red, and the lightness is what they share when they share when they have the red, green, and blue model. The pointer here, the red and blue are pointers to the state. If as he drifts, he appears more red. If Uche drifts, he appears red on into Eze. Because Uche and Eze are sending a message that needs to be done. So when they send messages and they agree, the messages agree, they make sense to each other. It's verified, it is green. And green is a consensus check. Now, the blue is just the chemical state of everything, and there's nothing of everything. He's to verify now because they are both moving away, or they're moving and move again. The red can be this planet can be red, right there, or right red or blue. But green and blue means they're moving away, moving together, and the message is no green until it's sent and verified via zero knowledge proof. Because depending on the HTML cell, so on terminal, this is validable because red and blue are the color, the pointers to green, and the anchor a green tomographic state that is measurable beyond cyan, yellow, magenta, and brown. Brown, not black, because black will be nothing. We can see nothing. But this is all brown, not gray. So brown or gray, because it measures the kind of information. And the K is for kilo. Via kilo, kilo means 1,000 of it. To see how the ratio was shared over 10, what is it shared in ratios? How the ratio was what? Via the pi frequency, using a tomographic pi to do it. The Laplace integration of this is beautiful for the power of Oxstar. Definition: an Oxstar is an auxiliary star sequence and series in sequence in series. That's what it is. The aux stop is basically if you want to start a system. It uses electrodynamics, electromagnetics to via electrodynamics principles, such as thermodynamics, dynamics principles via magnetization, because it propagates an electric pulse system like a magnet and uses the magnet to turn on computer systems on the fly without human verification. Can be like right, right, left, up, down, A, B, stop. And this is not a command code. I think it's wrong. So let me try to find a Konamic code, Namdi. Konami code. So Konami. So the Konami code is a famous cheat code. Yes, blah blah. So so it's up up down down left right B A stop. This is the Konami code. And this Konami code represents a signal milestone in the development of the project. The canonical code is used as it's on the fly command and control. But let's get to how this works. So a Trident packet, the Trident packet, which is a token, the verifier is what OB. OB has the ground to verify verify the sum. This is here because it doesn't like each other. All replies are sent to not via observer to go and just the observer just acts, and Obi is local observer because he is the one that sees everything that is nothing and sees how the system works really from the inside out. But he's observing the state tomographically without being directly involved in the command and control concept of it. So what this means is when Uche sends message to Eze, Eze will receive it and Eze can check it and Eze can send a reply. This can be a kind of an email message system when one human's on the loop, but it's not needed. There's no humans on the loop. It's just an automated system. The command code represents the command and control aspect of it. Sending some kind of option instruction to a computer system to turn it on is what the goal is. It's basically with stage 0, 1, 2, which is the parser stage, stage 3 of AST, stage 3 and beyond for relay systems. So, for example, we should as a C red, they share a tint of red, hue of red, a hue original value of red. Uche and Eze see green. The message have verified and they are sure they are verified. You can ask Obi for the verification packet and see what Obi has to say about it. Uche and Eze, Eze and Uche Eze, Obi is harder. So the goal of this is to ensure smooth fluidity in the system. It's my okay, really close over. Am I done with this? This kind of here and now. No, I'm not done with this. So the kind of thing I'm saying, they work on synergy waves. Synergy waves are a problem via the Riemann hypothesis. The Riemann hypothesis is a signal equivalent of measuring some kind of a strip for the structure of the message. So the kind of message has a structure or state, but that state is an imaginary number, and the Riemann hypothesis allows you to verify whether the number was determined via Cisco, which is bottom-up breadth first search, or RISCO, top-down parser, bottom-up and with bottom-up verification. But the parsers are the goal is to have a capital state of the medium where Cisco is mapped to RISCO such that there is no interpretation of the information, and that's the new Joseph that Obi observes as green or green without actually measuring it. Because Obi is going to go. You say, you see, So how does this work in practice? Okay, if using an email system without the command control storage, in a traditional email, in a traditional video stream, like this one here, you can start with the stream with the buffer, without a buffer, with a buffer. And if you can, when you click the video, it starts buffering. The buffering is a standard procedure, but why are we buffering when the video is downloaded? That is the problem the typical addresses are all via macOS. So, for example, downloading becomes a problem when you have a slow bandwidth per game, and the problem of the artifact it can't happen more than the bandwidth unless it's on the GPU or on. This is what people is trying to do because humans are human this. So, how does this work? So, Uche sends Obi macOS. How does Obi work? Obi gets the option to play 80 one of 80 video games or live and braid or watch one of 80 videos. At a time while they download. This is macOS. It's meant to work because of the on-fly system. Because the more videos are working, the more you can chance to skip and wait for the operating system to download via the on-fly system. Um, the goal of this is literally to using color-coded mosaic Riemann shape to determine the color of a pixel ahead of time. The computer observes and actively observes, which you can actively observe and act. Determining the trajectory of the computer system. It's an in-flight system because via probing, because the computer is going to color of the pixel without any blind spot, as it's bound to radiography, which distills all the colors it's observing of the user and the data to red, green, and blue. There'll be no blind spots in the radiography model because by design, radiography picks up everything that is there. As I do redo if the college image is right. So we have talked enough about the kind of how this work in practice. In practice, you could be sending a field instruction, but these are like Rift macro files, the Rift files, and these Rift files are important to determine the trajectory of a system via nuclear coherence. It's meant to be the most authentic form of self. It's meant to be the most authentic digital communication because the Lexa allows you to speak authentically in your own way, no matter if it marks voice or not. Or no, it's meant to speak for you. You can speak for it. You say you can't speak for it. You know what I'm saying? Someone like the key and cluster of the system works by damping. So the damping factor of the 0.85 because it's basically rough theory, but key and clustering and nearest neighbor is for dimensional. It's interdimensional. So, what does this mean? So, the kernel chlorine, because of loss of dimension, the protocol must keep learning, and that's why the dimension has to evolve via probing. Now, the term active means active state machine. The term sparse means many models of the same data and type. Sparse means you still what you're doing. So the term sparse means the system knows how to behave. The term active means so term sparse is knows how it's modeled. The term active sparse means I know how to be modeled. The term active means the system knows what it's doing. Active sparse and trying via a stale protocol. So the protocol remains and never ends and becomes stale. It becomes in a state of certainty because it knows what it did and how it's survived there. So it codes that state into the review program. Because probing enables the AI system to live on what it intended, to live without how much bad via AGAG processing because you're double the space half the time double the space via AGAG step 2 and AGAG step 1. The Nsigii wave. Oh no, wait, okay.
Watch YouTube on your TV.
So the Nsigii waves are how the so the Nsigii waves. So if you have the tyrate tray, 1, 2, 3, you trade that down and you put the number 3. The system doesn't reject it. It just tries to understand it and then move on because it is not a threat to it. So it doesn't need to do that. And that's the whole thing. So well, can't see. So how small hacker should about that. Yeah, okay. So let's talk about this. Yes, yeah. So the token kind and the token type are mandatory because they mitigate null exceptions directly because they mean to be there of the polls. Nil means something's coming to the country. Something is so the kind of polarization obviously goes S pause because the legal fee makes us so tomahawk yes. So what else we got here for the tomahawk? So switch for so yes. So we got the tattoo. So the Nsigii protocol is also command and control protocol. It's used to take over a system in real time on the fly while doing it, which is a kind of a powerful concept to me. For example, if you have a boomerang or tomahawk missile and you chuck it up in the air vertically, you need to stop. This attack can always be Oxstar or so it must be down to so it must be down to so the relay system must be observer commission because the relay attack is not a hydrocan attack. You throw a boomerang in the air, it starts having a gravity well. Gravity has an area radius before the system come crashing down on itself. But the boomerang is normally safe because it's what's happening. So if you have 2 hoops in place of sparse oblique missile. One of them must come down because one of them will come down when it comes and say if it's a corn missile or not. The missile has spared food, water, shelter without fail, and it showed the people up. And how does this system work? So, system defines an instruction, which is an executable instruction set, as something that's directly executable by the system. It's on the fly, but it's a command and control protocol for Michigan is fault kind of small commission because the missile goes up and down, but it goes around and around, and the system must pick up the signal of this missile and then actively deal with it. It will not. It's just a first missile that works as intended because the instructions are not being hijacked, but they're either being started on, listened to. Or we started on, and then we'll do the operation. Because I don't get time hijack, but the structures are reshuffled, remade and relisted, because there are new instruction sequences for the people who are like. So the kind of thing. So the second move is when you go up and down, you go up and down, you go left and right. It goes up and down, but the system goes up and down. So come on, look at the time now. Anyway, okay, what's the live lecture? Okay, so the command and control system allows you to. So the goal of this is to load. While the system loads, have some kind of trigger method that takes local instruction and turn this off. Whilst learning for the system, that's the goal of the system. It's the active program system. Yes. I don't know being limited. The kind of thing I'm saying, it's there because it works as intended via the two graphics system. The resolution is a no. No, so let's put this down here. So what else have I done? So the humorous protocol is command and control protocol. What that means is can intersect things that are flying in the airspace it has, because what is vertical, going on vertical, so it doesn't contain like pretty much because it's an on the fly protocol that learns and stuff, and then it encodes the basically
Something's wrong on the big screen.
it takes the instruction set
Watch YouTube on your TV.
of a system of a noisy system or noise star, which is a noise star if the system is flying, and using an aux star to inject those sequences to turn off a system like turn off mid-flight. While it's just to hack the system while it's online offline, and that's a noise star. If the vertical star or vertical table, or use via a calculator in time via calculating in real time trajectory to keep the system organized. So the goal of this is to have an actual radiography reader system of the command protocol, command and control protocol to from a cellular deck of they are RC card. Obviously, I give the RC card because the audio means so they do want to see how many get better with the RC card. So I just need to find if I can. So the humorous protocol is there. Sorry, I'm just kind of wasting. So you have. So you have a. So, sorry, this sound. Anyway, so here obviously it's an in pre-flight release because the noise star basically you have no signal, no noise, and no signal. Noise, no signal, no noise, and no signal. Noise signal, no signal, noise signal, and no signal, no noise and signal, no noise and because it's a four-way pointer. No noise means there's no noise in the system plus times union noise because this system is just a chemical state of everything that can be non-renewable noise. This is not just the power of the system, and this no noise means so if you have no noise and no signal, union no system, no destroying. You have a full system. You need to listen to stuff without being detected. So the no noise and the no system is not. So the kind of terms that the no signal and the no noise is a framework for safety critical measurement for tomorrow sovereignty. It's mainly to the subsystems that are believed hostile via the hostile damping. The key in the cluster ensures that the system remains coherent while the system is operating via page ranking. But the page ranking is ranking not graph pages, but density, authentic use of the system, the protocol in the first place, and why it was meant to use. It's basically prioritizes the two-point of problem life and work via entities, trident entities via the location. So there's no matter how much the body say, it can only do what it's intended to do, and the verification happens, in real
With the
time.
YouTube
And
Music
also,
app, you can start a radio station with up to 30 artists. Go ahead, DJ Thumb.
so no mind, there's no, don't do this. So the kind of system is saying it works because it's powerful. Now, aux dot is geometric auxiliary star. The auxiliary dot is not the noise star. Because standard no sequence, no noise, no sequence, no signal, which is no information coming into the system to noise stop. But it doesn't, it depends on the state. Well, it depends on the state. All depends whether the computer is on and off. So if you have no noise, it means you have the system is on. It's possible the potential state is on or off, but that on and off depends on the context of the old stale state via the active and sparse model. The same for the no noise no signal from the computer system, like color or anything, on standby, or on other things, hibernate, which means the system is regulating its resources. And sleep. The system is off for a short time period as a policy in organization. The goal of this is to show that the shared consistency between the systems are isotropic, means they are isomorphic and together. The humorous protocol is the first part of the thing, but the command and control system is a real-time strategic algorithms that operate on events bubbling, and mitigate sentences that are recursively, like Peter picked the pickle pepper, and because this system, everyone's done this ones, but the system, this is a valid protocol verification, but the message is commutes for the message. So Peter pickle pickle pepper is a tongue twister, and tongue twister add mathematical revival via probing. So other things, final say. Furthermore, via the AGG process life cycle of double AG step 1, double the space and memory ahead of time, and trident ahead of time for computation, and half the time to do that task with a short A star scoring of O1 between space and time, polar inverse duality for type 1 and type HDG processing via the compliance of neurodivergence in the loop system. We are to also the Nsigii program also prioritizes. There's my clock here. The Nsigii protocol also prioritizes these definitions. Processing. A processing is the act of executing an active system. The system knows what it's doing without probing for new solutions. Probing is when a system tries to create a solution based on a new instruction that is a new set of instruction that solves a problem, that solves the same problem, or new way of doing something. So the system, a probe, has a sparse algorithm, a sparse data structure via Cartesian and polar coordination, a way to navigate a system that has been diverted to another course. Also, it's a probe that resolved a pathway shape, a probe shape, so a probe way, which is a pathway via polar and Cartesian, a probe shape, the movable shape that they all share via the geometric structure of the path they're going, like the map, the probe shape, or the probe map, if you want to call it, the mapping of data. So the shape refers structure, and the structure is half. So the structure is the full shape, and the shape is half the structure. And every pathway via polar lattice. So every pathway, which is a two-pointer way. So the two-pointer reference for the time, the mitigates so every pathway, shape, and form, the form of the data, like the form, like the codec form. The codec, this can be a Cisco model, which is the Cisco model is a bottom-up starting, bottom-up AVL self-balancing tree that prioritizes two poles at a time shared by the top-down model via instruction set and operator coherence. Operator coherence is the shared mathematical verification and zero trust principle, which means that the ZKP out of is verifiable between Uche and Eze and Obi, who have token roles to fulfill via the probe interface. Because the system and a platform that it doesn't know system must resolve on the fly in a safety critical, such as accessibility or macros definition, sorry, these are all Lexus and parsers that have canonical assembly ASTs assembly which relates to the canonical parser has all share assembly definition, which can be deassembled or assembled in C-score models and RISC models, which are the relay the system observing instructions in real time and giving you the structure of that instructions via the up-down protocol. Because the protocol is on the loop, it's on the fly protocol. It allows you to literally send command like a input executable input via telemetry mosaic event sourcing. So what that means, you can it bubbles up to the code, and that bubble is sent while it's being executed. For example, if I press left, right, up, down, that to and I have the IP target, the up, down, left, right, up. If I have this an up, this is a down. If I press up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, and I have the send code pre-in-flight. The telemetry system has a UUID for me. And Eze, me and Obi, Uche, me knowledge, and Eze can send his package to verify it. But this is just the first test here. So this riff test tomographically, up, down will be up and down, four set equation. But these are instructions for again. So it allows me to control an arbitrary entity via executability instructions that are on the fly. This is a just-in-time compilation that when the instruction is not click execute, because the instruction hold executable logic in real time, and that is what's being run via back north notation, reverse back north, which is postfix. So postfix, but the postfix is it's executed last. It's executed, so there's an execute trade-off here. The time to execute. So it's basically a buffer before we can execute. So just to make sense before it can actually be an execute active. So this is up, down, but it's going to control a system in real time that is either being really intercepted or being updated because these are instructions that humans can control intuitively as a symbolic interface, like BA and then sometimes star or select is a sequence of instruction. Now, the sequence is instruction is all you need to boot a system up. As a person suppose because the sequences are in the series, which are because they are all combinations of heterogeneous models via analog and system interface, depending on how you want to integrate the system at that point in time. But I am trying to say, so in my first implementation, I'm hoping I'm trying to implement an auxiliary start. The auxiliary start again does things in half, so they execute in halves. So the example again, the auxiliary start. So if I've set it up, down, back forward, canonical, I expect some kind of receiver to act on the system and relay the code the up, down, then to do something, right, left, right, and a BA, and then stop. If I have if I have up up down down, the system on the end is moving up up down down, some kind of like a Pong game. It's moving up down down. I think I want to do an SDL via Rift. So the goal of this is to have four test cases, true positive, false negative, true positive, false negative, false positive, false negative, that actively updates the state on the root kingdom, basically on a new on a shell, on a REPL. But this REPL is plain Pong, but with some kind of delay. So the goal of this is to control one system for not just an aux start. So basically, the aux start is a scalar, it's a tensor that takes half a dimension up. So you can think of it like half a dimension, and that half a dimension, double the space. In half the time, it will execute. So half the time you have to press enter twice. So you have to send it twice. So if I press up, it's already half executed. But if I press up again, it's a send. It's because it's pix 2. It goes up, and that is a send. So because it receives two up input. This sequence of up, down. So if it's two down, it's now send. One down is half the instruction, but this half instruction is being sent. So you have to right left. So right left will be, left right will be one left, but these are ones. So this is reference will not be set because it's half. So this one is one direction. And now press left right, and you put the left right. It is now set. So you now send that sequence instruction. And you now press BA. Now BA is bound with the same floor rules, but B is B is a bottom and A is a bottom. So it's not so just so you have to split a stop. You have to split an implicit stop. A stop for the button. This can be for switching games in the Konamic code. These are control sequences. These are executable instructions on the fly because they are arrows. They dictate. They're basically game controllers. Analog, digital. They model the system's coherent state over sparse tomographic resolution. The goal of this, again, is to get something token type and token value to act on behalf of the series. And we can send other messages over the protocol and harass queries to automate the stuff. But the goal of the system is to deal with every via macros, via meta ref files, the meta control sequences, and the ref files via active. Because the goal of this is to have something downloaded ahead of time, musical buffer. Because if something is downloaded, the Nuka OS will preserve that state demographically, and it's still Konamic codes. It's meant to literally be an on-the-fly interpretation of the system and the community code of the pointer problem. Okay, one more thing. How does Spring work? Math is from Springs. So I'm looking at Spring physics. So yes, so Spring physics is dampening. So the press play. So I'm looking at a simple mosaic motion and dampen, but the Springer have a sine function they define and the physics index Spring. So this the coil interface no sorry. So the first equation reason. So as balance of spring, balance that measures weight and force is by how the spring moves. That's the spring balance. So you can see I'm looking at the spring balance in the framework of Obineses because spring physics is what it goes. So physics index. I'm looking for the spring type of forces. Strong force, weak force. How does the spring work? Spring physics, unit, energy and power, radiation. Spring. Sorry. So the kind of so I'm looking at spring. So the Muko is a question. You have two packets that send on one. The spring. How does the spring work? So imagine a piece of straight steel, 10 centimeter paper clip, but you have a wrap. If you pull it with a finger, the string is a stretch. Coil it. So this is a spring coil algorithm. Around a pen or a pencil can make itself perfectly as fine function. Now you push or pull it with the spring. You can feel the stretch and squeeze it. It's quite easy. But this is what I'm saying. So you take a paper clip, you roll it around, you make a spring, simple coil. But why is it stubborn around why is this spring easy to stretch and squeeze? Or why is the same piece of metal of the wire foam? And why is it so reluctant to change shape in the first place? Try bending out springs. So the goal of this is to literally just model the springs are a way of storing and absorbing energy. So when you push and pull the force, when you are pushing or pulling the stretcher, you are using the force over this in terms of so you're doing work, you use the energy. Tell the spring, the harder it is to the form. So it's hardest the phone approach, which is spring. The reason strategy cream basically it maintains the energy nuclear hole. Basically the kind of spring formula I'm looking for. The spring because spring is a system. The things and that's what it's
Unlimited data for social media.
that's what it
Foxy
works.
Mobile is great for beating the winter blues.
So
Yeah,
the spring
I'm
physics
watching Baby
textbook.
Orangutan bits to learn how to laugh again.
So
You'll get there.
this is
The
fucking,
fundamentals of unlimited data for social media on Foxy Mobile. Selected social apps in UK. TNCs apply.
I think I didn't do it. Did I? No, I didn't. Maybe I did. Okay. So the kind of thing I'm saying is the code is meant to represent the spring physics framework, and the spring is the system that handles the spring. How does a spring work? Physics. Physics. Physics of spring. I'll look at the spring. I'll look at the formula now. For formula for spring. The fancy word of spring. But the spring is a coil, and the coil is what its mass are moment. So it basically uses the system. Force equals half times pi times over the kilometers of the meter over the surge, the damping and resonance. Spring failures are modes and prevention, fatigue, overload, corrosion, buckling. Repeated cycles can lead to formation and growth of microscopic cracks. A seeding springs starting can cause permanent formation or breakage. Corrosion. Environmental factors can erode spring over time, relaxation. But it's just for sending messages. This is how it works because all the machines I tried them. So Uchi has a coil. He sends out a coil. If it gets stuck, Uchi can send out that information to get the because it's stuck on some system, but the information is recoverable, and that's why the spring model matter. Some of the functions recover, and that's why the spring coil matters and the interface. So you got the noise stop and the aux stop and the aux stop, and you got the aux signal, aux no noise, and aux noise. Because those are states of on and off based on the kind of standby of the system. Again, okay. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching, and hope you guys love this video. Remember, may the rift be with you. And Nsigii protocol is here and now. Command and control relay systems. Have I got anything else right now? No. Via pi lattice polarity. Because the goal of this is to show that everyone can get some kind of food well when they need it in the BFF constitution. Anywhere, everywhere, or some via the sparse missile model. In the Obinix's framework. Breathing is never optional. Survival is never optional. Living is never optional. Only working is optional. Living and being alive is never optional, and only working is optional. Thank you guys. Because you got if I put a screen down. Thank you.